The quest for Joey Bosa comes to an end as he signs with an extremely uh, yeah, just he signed with a team that we were totally expecting them to sign for. Uh, we were totally expecting them to sign, or we were totally expecting Joey Bosa to sign with the Bills, weren't we? So I know 49er fans had their hopes and dreams, some of them at least, tied into the potential prospects of the 49ers coming home with Joey Bosa. But unfortunately, it's bye-bye Bosa. The dream, it has come and it has gone. There will be no bookend Bosas in San Francisco, at least for 1 year. But honestly, with how things are going, I can't really anticipate it to go any other way than what it's gone up until this point. So I just want to do a wellness check, see how all of you guys are doing. Were you surprised to see that Nick Bosa went to the Bills? Were you surprised that it wasn't the San Francisco 49ers who were able to get a deal done? What just are your thoughts on the whole situation with Joey Bosa? Because obviously there's another element to this whole situation. Is the 49ers released Leonard Floyd, right? They released Floyd, and then it kind of felt like, okay, well, it's not really a big cap savings or anything like that. Felt like it was going to be a situation where they were getting ready to like potentially announce Joey Bosa to the San Francisco 49ers, but hours went by and nothing had happened. So just like, all right, well, we're in wait and see mode. And then boom, the the report drops. I think it was Adam Schefter who said that that Joey Bosa had signed with the Bills, and honestly, was not the team I was anticipating at all. Um, Obviously, we heard the reports of the 49ers and the Dolphins being the team who are potentially going to be the ones who are involved with this whole situation, and it's it's wild, right? This is a one of the more wild free agency periods that I can remember, at least what it feels like. I don't know, maybe there have been some crazier ones. I remember the whole Trent Williams situation where he signed in the middle of the night. Then we found out we signed Alex Mack. That was more on the positive side of things. This one, it just seems like, I do think the 49ers had made some solid signings today. I think they made a couple better ones. I really like the Demarcus Robinson signing. The Jason Pinnock signing is one that I perceive to be the most likely to potentially start out of any one of these guys. He'll compete with Jair Brown, I think, for that spot. But I think most fans were like really hoping to get like one name, one person that they feel like could come in and start. And I think it was more so, almost gravitating to the story of Bosa bookends, having both of these guys rush the passer, hopefully getting him for a cost effective deal. And then it felt like things were at least trending in that right direction. And then I guess here come the Bills to come swoop in And I don't know, it's interesting, did maybe Mike Silver putting out that tweet about how both the 49ers and the Dolphins were coming under 10 million. I saw him tweet that the Dolphins didn't even get up to 8 million. And so maybe it was a competition between 49ers and Dolphins. And then the Bills saw how much it was going for. And they're like, well, why not? Let's throw our hat into the ring. And, he signed for, I think it was 12.6, and has the ability to reach all the way up to 16 and change. So that's kind of what I was projecting it to be at. I was expecting it to be, when I saw Hassan Reddick get that 1 year 14, that's kind of what it felt like. It felt like that was the sweet spot. That felt like the sweet spot. So he lands like right in the middle, and he has the ability to go up to 16, starts at 12.6. And for the 49ers to be like, we're okay, I get it, honestly. Like, the part that I don't get is the Leonard Floyd element of it. That's what I don't get. It's like, okay, you don't sign Bosa, he's too expensive, fine. But you didn't need to release Leonard Floyd because he was already under contract. They took on a dead cap hit by releasing him. And so now they got to sign someone. They have to sign someone. Unless we plan on going into next year with Nick Bosa and Sam Okwuonu on the outside, or whoever they draft. So the plan is interesting. The whole idea is fascinating. This whole situation is just it's such a deviation of what the 49ers had done previously under Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. It clearly feels like there's someone else steering the ship. It feels like this doesn't feel like the Kyle Shanahan 49ers anymore. And I understand that, some tough decisions were going to need to be made. We knew players were going to leave in free agency. Like, we just knew that was going to happen. But again, what I keep talking about, it's the compounding effect of the players leaving and not really anyone coming in. Now, they have signed, there have been bodies that have come in, but the majority of them have been free agent signings. The Luke Gifford or I should say special team signing. Luke Gifford, special teams. Curtis Robinson, special teams / depth linebacker, coming off torn ACL. Richie Grant, special teams guy. Kevin Givens, depth defensive tackle. I like Kevin Givens. I think I'm fine with that. Running back Patrick Taylor, depth signing. They're just, and then of course the two today I would say are the most potentially impactful ones, on top of Luke Farrell, who's tight end 2. Demarcus Robinson, you're hoping he's wide receiver 4, all things considered. And Pinnock, like I said, I do believe he has the most upside to potentially be a starter at the next level. So I think the deviation is just, yes, we understand some players had to go, but it just doesn't even feel like they're plugging those players back in with starters. So it just kind of feels like who's starting. Because if you look at the 49ers offensive line right now, what does it look like? Is it Trent Williams, Spencer Burford, Ben Barch, Dominic Pooney, Colton McKivitz offensive line? Tight end room, George Kittle, Luke Farrell, Braden Willis. The offense seems intact enough. It's the defense that is a head scratcher. Malik Mustafa, Jair Brown, Pennick, Richie Grant, George Odom, Diamond Lenore, Renato Green, Darrell Luter Jr., Chase Lucas. They need depth there. Fred Warner, D. Winter, Tatum Bethune, Curtis Robinson, and Gifford, linebackers. And then you get to the defensive line, and it's like, sheesh. Nick Bosa. So Leonard Floyd's gone. Malik Collins gone. I'm assuming the only reason Jordan Elliott might be around is just because the 49ers don't have bodies. Like, they can't afford to lose another body on the defensive line. You got Robert Beal, Jonathan Garvin, Drake Jackson's coming off an injury. Woo! Boy, oh boy. And I think some 49er fans are stressing a little bit because outside of last year's draft, where they did a phenomenal job. Did I not say Evan Anderson? I meant to say Evan Anderson. Outside of last year's draft, 2023, 2022 has been pretty much atrocious. The saving grace is Brock Purdy in those two draft classes. And then, of course, the Trey Lance draft in 21 is brutal. Those 3 years of bad drafting have just bitten the 49ers so hard, because if you think about it, you would have players in their, second, third years of their contracts heading into their prime, but none of them are on the roster. They are all gone. So, or hurt or something, or haven't proven it yet. So those 3 years of not being able to hit on your draft picks are really rearing its head right now, because they were able to stay top heavy, right? That's one of the things that we talked about with the 49ers is they've been top heavy team. They've got key starters and quality starters across the board. It was the depth that was a challenge. And as it currently stands, now it's like we just lost Charvarius Ward, Talanoa Hufanga, Dre Greenlaw, Leonard Floyd, Malik Collins. The defense took some hits, for sure. Can we redeem the morale on the draft? I think so. I think the 49ers now, with how things are going, it feels like they are now going to be some prime trade back candidates. That's just kind of how it feels. Like it feels like they need as many picks as possible. They need to hit, and so they need as many opportunities to hit as possible. This is a deep D-line class, so damn near you might have to trade back just to recoup draft capital. And then they already have 11 picks. They took a hit today with one of their comp picks, going from what was projected to be a 4th round to a 7th round. That's a hit. So if they are trying to get younger and they are trying to get really build a core around rookies and cost controlled players, then it's funny. Larry Krueger, I think he put out like a 20-player mock draft where he had like the 49ers trading back multiple times, grabbing multiple picks, and he had him taking 20 players. I love Larry. I was like, dude, Larry, this is kind of crazy. 20 player mock draft. Like it was something like it was like so many rookies. Now, now I'm kind of sitting back and I'm like, Larry low key might be a genius. Is that what we're going to do? Are we going to just trade back and just stockpile picks and then just draft 15 to 20 players, all rookies, just all cost controlled, all on rookie wage scales? And I mean, at first I was like, this guy's a madman. I love Larry. He's a madman. And I'm like, dang. The closer and closer we get to the draft, the 20-man mock actually makes more and more sense. So, that's the crazy thing. That's the crazy thing of where we're at, that the 49ers are making moves where they got me thinking Larry's onto something with the 20-person mock draft. So that's kind of where I'm at. It's like I don't know. I don't know what the 49ers are up to right now. I don't know what the 49ers master plan is. Again, every time they release or move on from a player, it makes me more nervous for Brock and George. Because it's like, if they are in this cost cutting mode, why would you most likely make George Kittle highest paid tight end and Brock Purdy top 10 paid quarterback to just is that the plan? Is that the plan? You feel confident enough in Brock that you're going to pay him, but then build out this roster of young players to kind of try to align with the 25-year-old quarterback. If I think the 49ers should draft a quarterback because they need depth. I mean, no quarterback has been signed, right? They need a quarterback. They need two quarterbacks, actually. And if they are going to draft a quarterback, it needs to be Kyle McCord. I've been on that since I covered Cal versus Syracuse. Kyle McCord really stood out to me as a guy who could really spin it. And I think he fits the 49ers like mold. So I would absolutely be down to draft a quarterback, but it's also like they need to trade back. They need picks. That like 11. It's crazy to say that right now 11 picks doesn't feel like enough. It's like, man, can we really fill these holes with 11 picks? Yeah, it's they need D line. They need so many D line. Man, they need to come away with like 4 to 5 defensive linemen alone in this draft based on how this roster's stacking up. They need at least 4 defensive tackles. They need at least 2 to 3 defensive ends. I mean, man, yeah, they'll get undrafted free agents and they'll probably hit on 1 or 2 undrafted free agents, but you can't set your clock to like just totally believing that you're going to hit every year on UDFAs. Like the 49ers have had so much success hitting on UDFAs. Like if they're a team to have, put some eggs into that basket, they're a team that I do believe in to do that. But it's crazy. Tobin says 3 years of terrible drafting and exorbitant spending equals where we are. Niners lost their way. Identity wise, it's on Kyle and Lynch. I find myself, having a hard time disagreeing with you because I supported the movement. Like, the drafts weren't ideal. Taking Trey Sermon in a trade up, then in the next draft taking Ty Davis Price just to have Jordan Mason beat them all out. Like that scenario, that little microcosm of failing to hit on third round running backs just to land on Jordan Mason is a microcosm of those drafts. It's like Cam Latu in the third. I know 49er fans are not happy about Jake Moody. Jake Moody catching a lot of strays lately. Unfortunately for Jair just hasn't been what I had hoped for. I was a big fan of Jair Brown coming out of Penn State. He was a safety that I wanted them to go after. They got him. I think that this is a big year for Jair because I don't think it's a talent issue with Jair. I just feel like the game's moving too fast for him, and it needs to slow down a little bit. And if it does, I think he'll be all right. But it's tough right now because if you had those guys in their second year and third year of their deals, I think you could withstand the storm so much better. I really do, and I think because it's the compounding fact. It's a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword with Kyle and Lynch. I commend them for doing what they did. I really do. Like, I give them credit for going all in. Like, I really do. Like, they went in on Javon Hargrave. They talked about it. They said they knew how close they were. They took a swing, they missed. They tried. So, like, I'm not upset at them for trying. And who knows how we're talking about this season if the 49ers win that stinking Super Bowl against the Chiefs. Who knows how we're talking about this offseason if they won the first Super Bowl against the Chiefs. Like, just one Super Bowl in the bag would have made everything worth it. Would have made everything fine. But I think the problem is by not having that Super Bowl ring. And, the 49ers have found a ton of success. But, I think back to Jed York's quote, that he got a lot of flack for. Like, we're not in the business of hanging division banners, NFC championship banners, in the business of winning Super Bowls. And, they've gotten so close so many times. And that, to me, I think is the brutal part. That, to me, is the brutal part is they are a handful of plays away from being a dynasty, which is nuts, right? Jaquaski's dropped pick. You go back. I know the Jimmy G overthrow in overtime, but there's so many plays before that. Brock Purdy getting his arm ripped off in the NFC Championship game. Like, I mean, come on, man. Like, they were so close to doing what they set out to do. And so I think what we're seeing now is all right, well, we didn't succeed. We gave you the runway to do whatever you wanted to do it your way, spend the money, do it all. and we weren't successful. So now it's time to do it a different way. And so that's the part that I think is unnerving, at least for me specifically, is I don't know what that looks like. The last time Kyle and John like weren't calling all the shots for the most part was before they got here. And I think we all remember what it was like before they got here. So, and I think I think what's stirring up some PTSD for most at the moment is the max exodus after uh, the Harbaugh era came to an end. So I'm not saying that this is the same thing. Clearly, Kyle Shanahan is still here. Um, so so we'll see, man. Yeah, I think it's jarring now, but I like the signings more today. And you saw my thumbnail. I got Azeez Ojulari in my thumbnail. If they go get me Azeez, I'll be feeling much better. Um, there's still some players out there uh, that I think they could obtain that think it's still in the same notion of 1 to 2 year deals. It's not going to be anything super crazy, which again we didn't expect. So I'm not giving up just yet, but I totally understand like the hesitation to like really just be like just being an eternal optimist in this scenario. Like for me personally, I'm trying my best to stay positive and like they're going to be able to do something and be able to pull it off and kind of shock the system, somehow reset while staying competitive. And I think that's just the biggest thing right now is we want to be able to reset while staying competitive. So that's all I'm hoping for. Like, and honestly, if we really like look at the roster, you know, Talanoa Hufanga didn't play that much last year. Drake Greenlaw didn't play that much last year. Charvarius Ward had a down season. He didn't play that much last year, and we know why. Um, yes, those guys are impactful, but they I don't know. They weren't around. So and the 49ers went 6-11. They didn't have the key depth that I think they needed to have. And we'll see. So the Leonard Floyd one kind of I'm still trying to figure that one out with like what the plan is there, and who's going to come play defensive end. So, we'll see, man. 15 draft picks. Hey, all it takes is a trade back, and you probably got those 15 draft picks. But yeah, it's been a wild, wild couple days for sure. Wild couple of days. I still think the 49ers can be competitive. Like I said, you look at the offense, If you have an offense of Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, Jawan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, Brandon Ayuk gets healthy in a hurry. I like the Demarcus Robinson addition. Jacob Cowing takes a step forward. I like Isaiah Hodgins. Also have Russell Gage's depth. You have unknown with Tariq Owens. I don't mind the wide receiver room, especially if you add some depth there. I like Isaac Guerrero. I think Isaac Guerrero really showed a lot. I like Patrick Taylor. So the running back room seems pretty intact. Debo Samuel was a declining asset in my opinion, so they got out of that business. So I actually think addition by subtraction there. I think they'll actually be better off without Debo, just based on his skill set and how him being in the game changes and forces the offense to be a certain way. So because Debo just isn't a player who plays without the ball in his hands, and the offense requires that. And then if you're sticking with George Kittle, you bring in Luke Farrell and you have Braden Willis, maybe draft a tight end. The offensive line, you bring in Ben Barch, you have Matt Hennessy, Trent Williams, Colton McKivitz, bookends, Dominic Pooney. I say you draft O lineman, whether interior or tackle. Honestly, the offense doesn't change all that much. The offense is kind of similar. The offense is kind of not too far of a deviation, if that makes sense. I think you get what I'm trying to say. Like the guys that have left, Kyle Juszczyk has been declining usage, I think, for the last 4 seasons. So his usage has gone down and down and down. And so you look at the guys that have left the offense. Aaron Banks, I thought, struggled last year. I thought Aaron Banks was one of the biggest weaknesses in our run game. So did our offense really take a hit? And I would say the answer is no. I don't think they did. Now, I still think they have some key holes that they need to mess with, but the offense, for the most part, is pretty similar. And if you take Robert Saleh, and one of the things that we love about Robert Saleh is his ability to identify linebackers. So if he can go out and find some, 3rd to 5th round linebackers, let Saleh cook there, go snag a linebacker, plug and play, Kobe King, someone like that. And D Winters takes a step under Robert Saleh. Tatum Bethune showed some things. Linebacking core is not too far off because obviously you have Fred Warner. We love Diamador Lenore and Renardo Green. I still want to see another cornerback. And we love Malik Mustafa, Jair Brown. So they still have enough pieces to be competitive, but they need to fix that defensive line. Without that defensive line, that's where my concern comes. Now, I do think this could be a much better coverage team next year. A much better coverage team than they have been in the past. So that can help you a little bit with your rush. But you go out and you draft, I think it was Corey who said draft 3 defensive linemen with the first 3 picks. Maybe you go out and you draft 3 defensive linemen with your first 3 picks. Maybe you trade down. I don't know. Maybe you get James Pierce. And then you go and draft my guy, TJ Sanders. All of a sudden, your defensive line looks phenomenal with those 2 rookies on it. And don't sit here and tell me that you can't have a formidable defense with 2 rookies. I think the 49ers are looking at what the Rams did, and they're saying, we're trying to do what the Rams are doing. They went out, got Jared Verse. 49ers take it at 11 or trade back and take a defensive end at 11 to 15. And then you take a defensive tackle at the top of the second. And then, boom, you potentially have two starters on your defensive tackle at your two defensive tackle or defensive end to go with Bosa. You're going to need to take another defensive tackle for sure. You got guys like Norman Lott. You have other edge rushers like Femi Oladejo. You have other edge rushers like David Walker that you could get probably in the third or fourth round. And then you could so if you want to get a center, you could go out and get my guy Jackson Slater in like the fourth or fifth round. So there's a path that exists where the 49ers can theoretically plug some of these holes that we're looking at with some rookies. It's just, I think what's hard is looking that far ahead amidst free agency, where a lot of players have left and there's still not a ton of starting caliber players coming in. Like I saw Sherman talk about, like, what are you guys doing? You're not bringing in anyone. So there's a path, but it means they got to be hitting on like 80%. They got to be hitting on like 80% of their draft picks. And last year gives us faith that they could do that. But it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be interesting. So again, I'm not sitting here saying that, sky is falling. Sell the 2025 season. But I'm just saying the path to get it correct while using a ton of rookies, the risk goes up. And that's just where we're at right now. Shout out to LeBron. Appreciate the $1 super chat. Speedy says, really only lost Debo and the fullback. Debo was a shell of himself. That's what I'm saying. Most of the losses on offense, I don't think are bad. I think they needed to happen. Aaron Banks got insanely overpaid. Good for him. Generational wealth. Good for him. I just think that they're not that far off. It's just it feels extremely daunting right now because you look at the state of the defensive line. You look at the state of it is. Oh man, the state of the defensive line is scary right now. So we'll see, man. We'll see what happens. But again, it could go one of two ways. Rejuvenation, youth movement, bunch of rookies going crazy. Another option, it goes absolutely haywire. They just take a bunch of busts and it just dead on arrival. So I think that's I think that's where the nerves are generating from. The nerves of like the unknown. But this is a very important draft. Last year's draft was a really important draft for the reasons that we have spoken about. This draft becomes even more like way more important. So Oh boy, let's see what the Great Reset looks like. But we'll see. We'll see where we're at. We'll see what happens. A lot. So someone said, the unknown sucks. The unknown allows you to go one of two ways. It allows you to go the negative route and allows you to go the positive route. It all depends on how you want to view it. So I'll leave that up to you. I try to provide all the perspectives as much as possible. And then I'll land on where I kind of sit in the whole situation. But at the end of the day, I think it's hard to say definitively what will happen. I'm just hoping it works out, man. That's all. I just hope we hit. I hope we hit on some draft picks. I hope they plug and play. I hope. I don't know. Purdy turns into an absolute menace and just starts carving up the league. I don't know. We need something crazy to go down. But I appreciate everyone. This was more so just kind of a reaction to the Joey Bosa thing, how that relates to the 49ers moves and everything that's going on. So again, I appreciate the support throughout this free agency period. Numbers have been up, so I really do appreciate you guys tapping into the streams, liking it up, commenting. I really do appreciate it. So grab your cookies for everyone on the way out. And barring any wild news, I'll probably see you guys tomorrow for a live. And but again, you never know. You never know when something's going to break. So appreciate all you guys. Join the Discord. Chili dropped the link in the chat. I'm out for now. You all have a good night. Peace. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see you.